or Punjab as such? Greetings everyone, I am Gauri Dogra and welcome to my show. Today with us we have SSP Mr. Vivek Soni of Rupnagar. We are going to talk about his life and his experiences throughout his career. Welcome sir.
Thank you, Gauri.
So my first question for you is, you have worked in different districts of Punjab. So according to you, like what kind of differences did you find in working all those districts? Like you were in Mohali before and you have worked in Pathankot as well. So like what differences did you find when you were working in those districts?
See, Punjab, if you see traditionally, can be divided into three areas, as we traditionally say. So one is Malwa, then there is Majha, and then there is Doaba. So Majha being the northmost, Doaba being the between the two, and then we have the southernmost portion of Malwa. So what I have found is that every place where I have been to, it has a different taste of its own, different problems of its own. Some of the areas are very crime prone. They have there's a natural propensity of people to commit more crime. And then we have areas where people are very not that much into crime. For example, you said about Pathankot. Pathankot is a very peaceful district. The crime rate is very low. And then we have places like Mohali, which has a lot of different nature of crime. And there you have a lot of economic offences and such other offences which otherwise are not seen in many other places. So it varies from district to district. You have a place like Sangrur where you have to deal with law and order situations which are of very different nature, pertaining to even the left movement is there. There is some strong presence there. Then we also have Kisan unions. We also have a lot of Mazdoor unions, and the remnants of some communist groups are also there. So it's very different from one district to the other.
So like now you mentioned that Kisan unions, and now that you worked in Mohali as well, and Chit University case that happened, especially in those cases, so was it difficult to handle the media pressure during that case?
See, it varies from place to place. I mean, all these districts, all these challenges, there is no set style to deal with any one of them. Every situation is a pressure situation, and it has to be delivered with least amount of damage or disturbance to law and order. So, but I will not rank Chandigarh University as the worst situation that I have seen. I have seen much worse than that. It was more of a misinformation and disinformation campaign or rumor mongering which led to that sort of law and order issue. But then there are bigger issues that we have seen in the past where serious crimes are involved, which lead to more problems than that.
Many kidnapping cases within hours. So like how do you think that has contributed to the present scenario?
It's a different approach that is required in different places. So my approach traditionally has been to empower my team. So I have a team of officers whom I identify and I put them on different jobs, and I also do a sort of analysis of what is the capability of a different officer. So that is how our teams they work on it. So the moment we come to know of a crime, so in my mind I'm clear about which team I'm going to put onto this thing and which team can deliver. It's a little bit of you can say also a betting sort of thing that we are betting on a particular team, but then most of the time it succeeds.
So how do you think that the political situation at present of Punjab is affected like external or extremist forces?
I think it's too early to comment on it. There have always been challenges in the past. There are challenges right now, but government is dealing with them.
They worked under Kali government, Congress, and now AAP, which is the current government in Punjab. Like, which government do you think has given you more sustainability?
I think it's when you talk about governments, it's one thing to have different political parties, and another to talk about government. Government as such is a more continuous institution.
Yes.
So when we talk about government, we might talk about different chief ministers, we might talk about different ministers, but frankly speaking, it's when we talk about government, it's about constitution and it's about the Punjab government, which is a continuing thing, which continues even if whether it's one party or the other, it does not matter that much. So as far as we are concerned, we are more bothered about the governmental setup as it is laid down in the Constitution of India than about who is occupying a particular seat.
What is the difference between social reaction to crime and legal reaction to crime?
See, it is a very interesting aspect to think of. A lot of things which were not there earlier in the Indian Penal Code actually were read into it or written into it later on. The case in point, for example, is snatching. Now, snatching traditionally has been a crime where it has been booked under 382 of Indian Penal Code, which is relatively less serious crime as it is according to the amount of punishment which is prescribed for it. But when you compare it to the reaction to it, the reaction of general public to it, it is disproportionately huge. So a snatching taking place leads to a lot more feeling of insecurity among people at large as compared to, let's say, a murder. So unless what my experience has been, unless the murder has been committed and you are not able to detect why it happened, majority of the time, or it is a part of some organized crime that murder has taken place, majority of the time murders actually are not there which take place every day. So the reaction to it is reaction to a snatching is disproportionately more strong as compared to what it should be. And so that is the reason why subsequently, as I said, in the original Indian Penal Code, it was under 382 that we used to deal with snatching, but now we have a separate provision for it which prescribes a very, very stringent punishment to deal with the crime of snatching, which is 379B. So there's a huge difference between how crime is seen around and how even law is now reacting to crime. The same is the case with Nirbhaya incident which happened in Delhi, which was a very unfortunate incident. Subsequently, amendments were made to the Indian Penal Code Section 375 and 376 to deal with such issues. But now the interpretations which are coming from the courts are slightly on a different note as compared to what maybe the original sense was when Nirbhaya was enacted. Similarly, we are seeing a new type of crime which is coming in because of the existence of a lot of live-in relationships, which are nowhere defined in the law as such. So the rights of the two parties which are going into a live-in are not defined anywhere. The concept of live-in relationship, although it finds mention in many of the judgments given by the Honorable High Court and Supreme Court, but does not find any mention in law anywhere. But it is leading to a different nature of crime. And how to deal with it is something which I think still law is lagging behind, and perhaps in some time we will have some more amendments to law to deal with it. So there is a marked difference between at some point I think law lags behind what social requirements are, and at some point the law is ahead than what social requirements are. So it's that sort of thing. I think this catching up takes place, continues, and it keeps on taking place with it.
So is there any case that still, do you remember that case, like that case will be in your mind for a very long period of time?
I think there are many cases which I can think of like that. But recently, there was one of these kidnapping cases which took place when I was in Mohali. I think that is very well etched in my mind. Where a boy had been lured by a girl through Instagram and subsequently had been kidnapped and was kept under sedation for 3 days. And we were able to trace that particular crime. We were able to recover that particular boy. But what causes me to remember that case is because had we not been able to successfully get that boy that morning, there is a good chance he might have lost his life because he had remained in sedation for so long. So I think that is still very vividly there in my mind.
So do you think like social media has now increased so much, especially in younger generation, like you just mentioned the boycott through Instagram? So do you think social media has become one of the main reasons for cybercrime or the cybercrimes and cases like this, like getting so like eluded by just a DM or something?
It was there earlier as well. It's not to say that social media has led to it, but definitely social media has become a part of it. A new generation of crimes is coming up. A new generation of criminals are coming up. There is a crime which has become very common called sextortion. which was never there earlier, and frankly speaking, law does not deal with that. So it is still dealt with under the concept of extortion only, but then it has a different nuances attached to it. So these type of crimes are there which are coming up, as I already mentioned to you earlier, that the social perception of crime and the legal perceptions are slightly different, and they're different from each other at times. Sometimes law lagging behind, sometimes the society lagging behind.
That's the cyber crimes. Now that you're talking about it, cyber crimes have increased a lot in Haryana, and the Haryana police have taken a step to curb it. So is there anything that Punjab police is doing to curb cyber crimes?
We have had awareness sessions in the past, and then there is one helpline number which has also been released by Government of India to deal with cyber crimes. If a cyber crime takes place, you make a call to that number. So whatever transaction has taken place, it immediately gets frozen. So the money does not get transacted to further accounts, so you can actually recover the money back as well. We have had awareness campaigns. Most of these campaigns actually have related to awareness campaigns only. One has to realize what cyber world has done. It has given access to a lot of people to those places which otherwise were not accessible. So, for example, someone sitting in some place in Jharkhand or in some remote jungles in Chhattisgarh also has access to your house, in the sense that he can make a call to you at any point of time, or he can contact you over the social media websites. And so many websites and platforms are there, and so many ways in which those platforms are being used. So it's obviously a vast sea which is there. It has been, Punjab Police has been doing it in the past regarding the awareness campaigns, and I'm pretty sure that in the future also we will be continuing with these issues.
So sir, in movies that we are seeing, like police officers are very honest, and when they get transferred from their current place to another, their life gets disrupted. Like, does it happen in real life also? Like, you're settled in one place and then have to move to other place. So like, does it get very hectic?
Yes, it does. It does get hectic, and it is definitely disturbing when you can transfer from one place to the other. So, but that I think with the passage of time that becomes a part of life, and you get used to all these movements around. So, but yes, it is definitely hectic.
Would you like to motivate younger generation to join IPS? Any advice you would like to give?
I think it is one of the good profiles to be in the sense that you get to command a lot of force, a lot of people at a very young age, and at the same time it also gives you the ability to face different situations. The sort of growth curve that I think the police service, or for that reason any administrative service, gives is too steep, and nowhere else I think you can have this sort of growth curve out.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
This has been Mr. Vivek Soni. I hope our viewers learned a lot from him today as much as I did. For more interviews like this, please keep watching Chitkara News.